Today, more crypto job cuts. This time, Gemini is laying off 10% of its workforce. The FBI says a North Korea-linked hacking group was behind a $100 million crypto heist, and Kraken's head of strategy outlines the exchange's focus amid the current downturn. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Jordan Smith. Crypto prices are mixed today. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin was trading below the $23,000 mark once again. Ether dropped less than 1%, but still traded above $1,600, and Cardano rose slightly, trading at 38 cents. All right, let's talk about the top stories. First, Gemini is joining a long list of crypto companies announcing job cuts. A spokesperson told CNBC yesterday that the crypto exchange will reduce its headcount by 10%. The move is at least the third round of cuts in less than a year for the exchange co-founded by twins Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. And just yesterday, a lawyer for Genesis said in court that the bankrupt crypto lender had some confidence it could resolve its dispute with creditors this week. That's according to Reuters. Gemini is one of the lender's largest creditors. Genesis filed for bankruptcy protection on Thursday, 2 months after it froze customer withdrawals following FTX's bankruptcy. And Reuters is also reporting that the firm expects to exit Chapter 11 by late May. Next, Binance reportedly processed nearly $346 million in Bitcoin for Bitslotto, the exchange whose founder was arrested by U.S. authorities last week for allegedly running a money laundering engine. Citing blockchain data compiled by Chainalysis, Reuters reported that Binance moved more than 20,000 Bitcoin across more than 200,000 transactions for Bitslotto between May 2018 and its closure last week. That data reportedly shows that Bitcoin worth about $175 million was transferred to the crypto exchange from Bitslotto in that time period, making Binance its largest receiving counterparty. Last week, the Justice Department charged Bitslotto's co-founder, a Russian national living in China, with operating an unlicensed money exchange business that allegedly fueled crypto crime by processing $700 million in illicit funds. We reached out to Binance, but as of noon Eastern, we didn't hear back. In a statement to Reuters, though, a Binance spokesperson said it had provided substantial assistance to international law enforcement to support their investigations of Bitslotto. The statement also said that the company is committed to working collaboratively with law enforcement. Last, the FBI said it was able to confirm that a hacking group tied to North Korea, the Lazarus Group, or also known as App 38, was responsible for the attack of the so-called Horizon Bridge last year. In that attack, hackers stole $100 million worth of crypto. Traders use a bridge to swap digital tokens between different blockchain networks. The FBI also announced yesterday that the North Korean cyber actors used the Railgun system this month to launder more than $60 million worth of Ether stolen during the June 2022 heist. Railgun is a system meant to help protect the identities of people moving crypto. All right, on to our main story. As we mentioned earlier, Gemini joins a host of other crypto firms like Coinbase, Genesis, and Kraken, which have slashed jobs since FTX went bankrupt. Crypto World's Tanea McKeel spoke with Kraken's head of strategy, Perfumo, about the company's next move after downsizing.
You at Kraken have been kind of in cost-cutting mode. You're not alone. It's kind of a rough market, but you've laid off 30% of your workforce at the end of last year and shuttered your Japan operations. It's a weak market globally, but tell me about your strategy going forward. How do you see this market? And let's start with Kraken specifically, picking itself back up and going forward.
Sure. Yeah. So as part of the thinking about 2023, we came out last year, made a global workforce reduction, as you mentioned. It was independent of any kind of events happening at FTX or other firms collapsing, for example. We actually have no material exposure to any of those events during 2022, but we spent a lot of time thinking about the current macro environment, current tech environment, and decided that 2023 is going to be a year of narrowing down our focus to where we think we can drive the most impact against our long-term vision, which is accelerating the adoption of cryptocurrency. So that was really the driver of the decision making. And we think we're in a strong financial position to go ahead and be a dominant player and fill in the gaps for those who collapsed last year and again, provide a safe and trusted experience for those interested in crypto.
I know that a lot of entrepreneurs talk about these bear markets and these crypto winters as a time to build. Is there anything new for Kraken on the innovation front?
In the last several months, we've been working on an NFT platform that we just launched the beta for publicly. And that's something that we're really excited about. When you think about NFTs, only a few single-digit million people have ever interacted on major platforms like OpenSea, for example. So it's still a very niche part of the market. And we think it's going to be a major part of the market going forward. And so we are trying to offer a true on-ramp for people who want to buy NFTs with cash, for example, or don't want to deal with gas fees, or are perhaps unsure about how to self-custody assets because they're new to crypto. That's just one example. We've also completely revamped our pro interface recently. And so a lot of our clients right now are raving about it, which is pretty exciting. And other than that, we have a lot of interesting updates that we're planning to do this year on the consumer side. And again, making the experience for crypto more intuitive, more useful, beyond just that kind of basic buy sell experience. So those are just a few examples that we're excited about.
I do want to go back to you shuttering your operations in Japan just for a sec. This will be the second time, I guess, I think, that Kraken has done so, the first being in 2018. And you operate in 190 countries or so. Can you tell us a little bit more about why Japan and what it is about that market? And do you see Kraken re-entering that market at a later time again, as you've done before when the market reverses?
Of course. So yes, Kraken does serve 190 plus different countries in terms of our global exposure and our client base. With Japan specifically in 2018, we exited briefly because that was around the time that a licensing regime came forward. And so we had to go ahead and invest in getting that license, and we were able to secure it and open operations. And the decision to close recently, again, was very much a part of that decision on the global workforce reduction and that narrowing of focus where we think we can drive most impact today. Does that mean we will never look to come back to Japan? No, all options are on the table. But for now, at this time, we're really just focused on what we have and, serving all our global operation, frankly, which again is much larger than just one country.
Crypto has always been very retail driven. It was created for the retail investor, and now there are all of these new institutional investors in the mix, and the market really driven in large part by macro events and macro trends. But how important is that retail investor in terms of helping turn the market around?
I mean, it's incredibly important because that's going to be what we think is underpins the future of crypto. So for us, when we think about a new world order of crypto around cryptocurrency, is built around this idea that you have 4 to 5 billion people who have internet connected devices, and they're accessing crypto services and applications. And right now we're only around 200, 300 million plus people who have ever touched crypto. And so they are going to make up the overwhelming portion of that adoption curve. And so they are one of our core focus areas for the next 10 years, call it. And when we think about institutions, they're playing a very important balancing role in terms of providing liquidity and markets for consumers to go ahead and get involved in crypto and access all those different applications. So they play a massive role. Of course, in the past and perhaps even in this last cycle, there's of course always this idea that there's a lot of speculative activity. What's cool about this last cycle in particular has been just the growth in DeFi, for example, or even NFTs, where you have these applications beside the pure speculative behavior that are picking up traction and adoption. You have tens of billions of dollars collateralized in DeFi applications, for example. And so we continue to see that trend grow over time, where as more and more people come in, and they're not just coming in to buy coins and try to sell them at a higher price, they're actually using different services that crypto protocols offer. And we think that's going to underpin really the future growth of crypto in general.
What do you make of this New Year rally? It's not specific to crypto, but let's talk about it. Is this a bull trap?
I can't make market price predictions, but just to frame some context here, Bitcoin, Ether are up over 35% year to date. In the start of this new year, you have S&P and NASDAQ up high single digits. But if you look on a 6-month basis, all of these assets are actually up roughly 1% or so. And so what that's telling me anyway is that a lot of that underperformance that we largely saw around the collapse of FTX in November, we've since recouped it. So we're kind of at this like broad level field right now between crypto and some of these other speculative asset classes like equities. And given earlier comments, I do think there is going to be quite a bit of correlation between crypto and other asset classes like equities. So I do think we're, again, at this level playing field, and we'll see how all of these asset classes trend with broader liquidity movements from central banks, et cetera.
For you and your peers in the industry, what feels to you like the biggest, or, a couple of the biggest challenges going forward in 2023?
First and foremost, it's going to be all the building back the trust and confidence in the ecosystem and the industry in general. A similar outcome happened when Mt. Gox fell, where people felt that the crypto industry was tainted effectively, even though the underlying applications, the decentralized ones, were operating just as prescribed. And so we're kind of in a similar playing field right now, where we have to rebuild the trust of the general public. And again, Kraken has been doing a lot of these things for the last 10 years, precisely because we want people to come to this industry, feel welcome and feel safe, so that they can go ahead and explore the industry, the applications, and get involved and adopt cryptocurrency. So that's going to be number one. With respect to the broader macro environment, we take it as it is. Our goal is just to focus on that long-term vision, again, of mass adoption of cryptocurrency, and we want to provide the most exciting applications and use cases to our clients, whether there's some kind of financial interest or staking, for example, validation, sending transfers of value, or even engaging with things like NFTs. And so we're going to be doing all of these things to help achieve our long-term vision of accelerating the mass adoption of crypto.
All right, that's all for Crypto World today, but we'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.